All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education, and we are at the Wtby Arts Magnet School, and today is November 5th. We'll begin tonight with a silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. We have a moment of silent prayer, memorial recognition delivered by Vice President Harvey, and then she will lead us in the pledge of the flag. Vice President.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a few weeks ago, we lost a teacher, and we did not acknowledge it only because we didn't meet that week. So this is to give tribute to Mildred C. Laney. The C stands for Crenshaw Laney. She is, her family is very well known in the city. She passed away October 8th, 2015. And just briefly, history, she was born in Parkersburg, North Carolina. She graduated from the schools in Sampson County, North Carolina, where she attended grammar school and high school. She graduated from Livingstone College, which Livingstone College is, and we refer to as an HBCU, historically black college and university. She taught math here in the city at Crosby High School. She taught math from 1967 to 1994. In addition to that, she was involved in many clubs in the school and throughout the city. She was a member of the Mount Olive AME Zion Church. Words that were used to describe her during the funeral was that of a trailblazer. Reason being is 1967 kind of marked the spark of the hiring of African American teachers. And she was the first of many that came to Wtby. Little brief history is that in our history in Wtby, in this city, there was migration from the south to the north. We gained a lot of our educators, our black educators, from that migration. Some other words that were used is that she was very encouraging. She was caring, but she was a no-nonsense teacher. I know that personally because I knew that she was not one for any nonsense, but if you needed help, she was there for you. She also encouraged me to run for the Board of Ed and voted for me prior to her becoming ill. She was the type of teacher, when we talk about our minority teachers, African American teachers, these teachers knew your parents. They were in the community. They would not hesitate to pick the phone up and call your parents. So that was the caring part, and they encouraged us to go to college. There was no question on what we were going to do in terms of going to college. I'm going to, thank you. Crosby High School, because she taught there for so many years, and that was the only school that she taught, put together a resolution. And it reads as follows. Be it known that whereas Mrs. Mildred C. Laney was a former member of the Crosby High School teaching staff during the years of 1967 to 1994, we, the Crosby administration and teaching staff, do hereby affirm that she taught mathematics. The record of Mrs. Laney's knowledge and caring of the students will remain in the annals of Crosby High School. Be it therefore resolved that the name of Mrs. Mildred C. Laney will remain on the honor roll on the teaching staff of Crosby High School, signed this 19th day of October 2015, signed by Jade L. Gopi, Principal of Crosby High School. Ms. Laney, we thank you for your service. A moment of silence, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Awad? Here. Commissioner Brown? Here. Vice President Harvey?
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Here.
Commissioner McEntee?
Present.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Here.
Commissioner Jason Van Stone?
Present.
Commissioner Tom Van Stone?
Present.
President Stango?
Here. Perfect attendance this evening. Item 4 on the agenda, communications. I have a copy of a communication dated October 14, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Marissa Fonte for the position of Administrative Support Specialist 1. Copy of a communication dated October 19, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Anna Light for the position of School Secretary. An open letter received October 19, 2015 via email from the Radical Advocates for Cross-Cultural Education regarding the WTA negotiations. I have a copy of a communication dated October 23, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Andrew Kapp for the position of part-time office aide. And the final one is a copy of communication dated October 29, 2015 from Civil Service certifying Olga Sanchez for the position of attendance counselor. That concludes the communications.
Motion to receive and place on file communications is read.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public address to the board.
Motion to suspend the regular order of business to hear from public.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This evening, all speakers are encouraged to submit prepared written statements to the commissioners. Comments shall be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. The chairman will disallow a speaker from continuing to speak if slanderous or defamatory remarks are made. There will be no responses this evening to any questions or concerns raised. They will be referred to the administration for review and response. This first speaker this evening is Robert Goodrich of Standard Avenue.
Good evening, Superintendent, President Stango, Vice President Harvey, and Board of Education Commissioners. I'm Robbie Goodrich. I'm co-founder of Radical Advocates for Cross-Cultural Education. First, Raish would like to thank all of you for your efforts that allowed our mayoral debate on education to be held here at WAMS. Specifically, we'd like to thank Commissioner Rodriguez and the School Facilities and Grounds Committee, Sandy McCaslin of the Business Office, and Nicole Steck, Magnet School Specialist here at WAMS. Next, we'd like to thank John Maturo and the entire custodial staff for providing a perfect setting for the debate. Lastly, but most importantly, we want to thank Chip McAkis and the WAMS students who provided professional level services for staging, lighting, and sound for our debate. They were exceptional. Second, we, RACE, have goals to be strategic, deliberate, and highly organized. In our short time in existence, we have begun to understand and unveil educational dilemmas affecting our school district. We have published position briefs that highlight problems and solutions for our community and school professionals to embrace. We are focused on finding the root causes for the student performance dilemmas, disparities in dilemma and discipline, graduation rates, and low levels of school connectedness. We seek to have tough conversations about the most pressing educational dilemmas we face here in Waterbury. These include school professional performance, cultural competency, and school district policies that guide hiring, reform, and school improvement plans. The facts tell us we received few credible responses from the school district or the Board of Education on dilemmas we have worked hard to understand or unveil. Here are the few that we've been ignored or delayed beyond a reasonable time frame. 1, we asked the task force to be formed to review district discipline policies. No answer. 2, asked for a copy of the final report of the MTRR planning grant that we were a community partner on, and a copy of the report made to the CSD for Wtby in-house teacher cadet program. No answer. Asked for input from the school district on MTRR best practices so we can articulate those concerns to the state legislative task force that Dr. Arias has been appointed to. We are Wtby voice on this important task force, and no input has been offered. Dr. Ouellette and her leadership team met with us on September 4th to discuss the Black Girls Summit data analysis. We all agreed that the disparities were a major problem. More than 2 months have passed, no follow-ups, and the data we were told we would have access to has now been tied up in an FOI. Even more perplexing is the fact that Corporation Counsel has informed us that we are no longer allowed to communicate with the superintendent or her staff on this issue. Now, to her credit, Commissioner Brown made the choice to meet with us to discuss the Black Girls Summit data analysis. 5, during community outreach on chronic absenteeism, we asked school district leadership to more clearly define the triggers, policies, and roles that school professionals play in causing chronic absenteeism. No follow-up. 6, we informed all Board of Education commissioners of a community-supported initiative to add Community Advisory Board to observe the WAT contract negotiation process. The mayor was the only one to answer. And 7, this past week we expressed deep concern about the district's plan to improve student performance on testing scores. No answers. As community members and advocates, we have been assured that there is a spirit of cooperation. This is vague and has led to few credible responses on a host of pressing issues. We ask for more action and leadership from the Board of Education commissioners and more timely responses from the superintendent and her staff. Thank you.
Next speaker is Arlene Arias of Rodney Street.
Good evening, Superintendent Ouellette, President Stango, Vice President Harvey, and Board of Ed Commissioners. I'm here tonight speaking as a co-founder of RACE. On October 19th, RACE sent an open letter to Mayor O'Leary, Board of Education President Charles Stango, WTA President Kevin Egan, and all of you, asking for a temporary suspension of the current teacher contract negotiations. We requested that a citizen advisory board be allowed to observe negotiations, mediations, and arbitrations. As proposed, this advisory board would consist of parents, students, and community stakeholders. If granted, this request would have democratized the contract negotiation process. Democratizing this process would have guaranteed that students' needs are prioritized over job protection for employees. Moreover, the practice of keeping public sector union negotiations private is undemocratic and a violation of public trust. The traditional interest-based negotiation, the model chosen by Waterbury Board of Ed and the WTA, is outdated, inflexible, and an unresponsive model because it doesn't directly address the needs of our majority-minority student body. It's one of the root causes for some of the current conditions in our school district, we believe. Our proposed model is a culturally responsive, interest-based negotiation process, allowing community stakeholders to be present during teacher union contract negotiation process is not a new phenomenon. The practice of sequestering teacher contract negotiations into privacy has ceased in school districts all across the country. To name a few, Chicago, Illinois, St. Paul, Minnesota, Boston, Massachusetts, and many New York districts. Further, having a community board observe, report on, or make recommendations on union contract negotiations would foster transparency and promote collaboration. The electorate needs to have access to information about one of the most expensive contracts that the city enters into. According to Bertram Moses and Devlin, the law firm that represents the Connecticut Association Boards of Education, the groundbreaking ruling in Vergara versus the state of California may have a ripple effect in our state. Connecticut state law and the last WTA contract both have similar job protections that were ruled unconstitutional by the California court because poor and minority students were not receiving equal protection of the law with respect to their fundamental right to education. When provisions in a contract or law cause inequity, it's our responsibility, ours, as policymakers, stakeholders, and advocates to take action. Considering the needs unique to our city, this community is concerned about recruiting and retaining minority teachers. Therefore, a priority for our district should be to construct a contract that incentivizes minority teacher candidates to come to teach in our city. The new contract should increase teacher pay, provide higher rates of tuition reimbursement, and include provisions for reducing class sizes. Adding these provisions will benefit students, attract teachers, and create more teaching jobs. Race has yet to receive a response from many of the recipients of our open letter. We also understand that the WTA contract negotiations have advanced to the mediation process. For the benefit of our students, we ask that the Board of Ed does not approve the final contract due to the lack of stakeholder presence. Furthermore, if necessary, Race will demand that the Board of Aldermen reject the 2016-2017 budget that will fund the WTA contract. Thank you.
Next speaker is Lisa Lassard of Pearl Lake Road.
Good evening, Lisa Lassard, Pearl Lake Road. I had one speech prepared for tonight, and I actually saw a full board, which is the first time in a long time, so I thought I'd bring this up while everybody was here. We have our Superintendent of Special Ed and Pupil Services, Ms. Wendy Owen, who basically does a great, wonderful, awesome job. This is the best Superintendent of Special Ed and Pupil Services this city will ever have. However, right now, she is doing 80% plus under pupil services, as she has told us, as well as 20% or less under Superintendent of Special Ed. She is wearing so many hats within this district. She is basically not able to do everything she needs to do. She needs support services. 2 weeks prior to the election, I called in to Mayor Neil O'Leary on WATR, and I explained this. He said it was not news to him, something he already knew. He would stand by giving support services to Ms. Wendy Owen, and he agreed she was the best Superintendent of Special Ed and Pupil Services this district possibly will ever see. We need to keep her. We need to make sure that she gets the support services she needs. I'm not talking about special educational teachers. I'm talking about she's down 2 supervisors of special ed within her area. She is running around with her head cut off most of the time, doing a great job while she does it. But if she had the services that she needs to support her within the job she has under Superintendent of Special Ed, then your Superintendent of Special Ed could do what she needs to do for each and all special ed children in district and out of district, and they would get the best quality of education they presently can get. But when you have somebody doing 80% plus under pupil services, which is a lot, and 20% or less under Superintendent of Special Ed, when we all know that you just got 900 more special ed children thus this year, it's a little alarming to the special educational community. Basically, Mayor Neil O'Leary on WATR said within 2 weeks' time, he would make sure there was support services for the Superintendent of Special Ed. 2 weeks have gone by. I made the mistake, personally didn't ask him which year he was talking about or which month, because basically 2 weeks is long gone. And did he mean 2016, 2017, 2018? Because she needs the help now, not later, now. Because the only ones hurting here are the Superintendent of special ed and pupil services and all our special ed children here in district and out of district, because 20% or less is failure for all our children, period. So thank you and God bless. And please help your superintendent of special ed and pupil services out, because she is needing your help. Thank you.
That concludes the speakers this evening. Is there anyone else in the room who did not sign up and would like to speak? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn the regular business?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item number 6, superintendent's announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very brief announcements this evening. We are fortunate to have 4 parent representatives from Waterbury Public Schools invited to attend a parent Camp USA at the U.S. Department of Education last week. The 4 were Latina Barty, Rubus Collado, Angeles Holmes, and Gladys Wright. They participated in many workshops and sessions and to help deepen parent engagement, and I'm sure they will be glad to report at a workshop within the future. Over the past weeks, our teachers and administrators have attended training on the new ASAP substitute system. The system replaced our current substitute call-out system as of Monday. Things are progressing, a few glitches here and there, but we're progressing along with that. The deadline for the Wtby Arts Magnet School Lottery has been extended to November 13th at 2 p.m. The original deadline was October 30th. Also, the Wtby Arts Magnet School will hold a holiday fair on Saturday, November 14th, from 9 to 2 p.m. in the atrium. Public is invited. Just exciting, last week we had the students at Bucks Hill participate in a vocabulary parade at the school. It was great. Students and staff dressed in costumes that illustrated self-reflective adjectives, and approximately 400 parents attended this event. Just a reminder, I know our staff has been focusing lessons on the remembrance of our heroes for the upcoming Veterans Day. I've witnessed some of those within our high schools, and just a reminder, schools will be closed on Wednesday, November 11th in observance of our Veterans Day. There will be a special dedication ceremony on Monday, November 9th at 7 p.m. at Crosby High School for Coach Nick O'Jelly and the Nick O'Jelly new court. It's absolutely beautiful. And just another shout out for our Connecticut 2016 Connecticut Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Johanna Hayes. She will be honored along with her fellow Teachers of the Year throughout Connecticut at a special ceremony at the Bushnell on Tuesday, November 10th at 5 p.m. And we are very proud of Mrs. Hayes. I know she has a lot of commitments right now, so we're looking forward to that event on Tuesday nights. We had a fantastic district November 3rd professional development. Many thanks to our Chief Academic Officer Schwartz, who worked with his academic team to put a comprehensive schedule together. All the sessions were included structural planning and practice so teachers can immediately implement new learning into their classrooms. Sessions were designed to give teachers time to meet together to translate new learning into classrooms. Some other for elementary, oral language strategies, rigorous problem solving, learning targets, Google Docs, first aid, and I can go on and on and on. I've also highlighted for you some of the activities in the professional learning for secondary, which included, which we truly needed with the problem solving in mathematics, which is aligned to our exemplars, and also Google Drive components. So very exciting. Also, generous science standards in engineering was also included. It was really a fantastic session, and I do have an outline of the events. Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my remarks for this evening, and I will entertain any questions the board may have.
Questions? Vice President Harvey?
Thank you. Dr. Ouellette, I know that you, in your report, you stated that the trip to Washington, D.C., U.S. Department of Education, can we kind of speed that up and see if we get a report? I'm hearing dribs and drabs of things that occurred there, and it sounds like it was very exciting. So I think it's something that if we can, as soon as we can get that at the workshop, to do that, to plan for that. Thank you.
Anything else? Seeing none, next item on the agenda is the President's comments. A note about our meetings for November. Our normal schedule for November has just about been completely changed for a number of reasons. The clerk of the board has noted all these changes in an email to the board, and she will also post the required legal notices as meetings for November as we go forward, and also the press has been alerted so that the public may be informed. Now that we have passed the November 3rd municipal elections, we know that our Board of Education will experience a few changes. Commissioner Awad and McEntee will be concluding their service on the board at the end of the month, and we will be welcoming Commissioners-elect Pagano and Theriault. On December 1st, new and newly re-elected board members will be sworn in. The board's organizational meeting will be held immediately following the swearing-in ceremony. Also of note is that there are a number of upcoming workshops available to board members. CABE has offered to meet with our board's legislative committee and the entire board to discuss issues of concern for boards and of our state legislators. The state legislative session will begin in February, and this board will need to be prepared for that. Experienced CABE personnel will come and help us do that. Also of interest is the Connecticut State Department of Education and CABE-sponsored new board member orientation and board leadership workshop. There are 2 tracks, one for the newbies and the almost newbies, and one for the veterans. At times, the tracks convene so that a mentorship is formed between the new and the old. This workshop will be held on December 9th from 9:30 to 11 at the Sheraton Hotel in Rocky Hill. And I will have the clerk of the board make copies of the announcement that I received in the mail for everyone. I did attend this workshop in the past, and I can attest to its effectiveness. So once more, it's for brand new members, and encourage our members who are maybe 2 years into the term, and also for veteran members as a refresher, and also to learn about leadership capacities. Also, Lighthouse training through CABE will be offered to all districts in Connecticut. Lighthouse is a research-based program to provide training to boards of education to help them focus on improving student achievement. The board may recall that at our retreat, we were introduced to Lighthouse as the next growth step from where our retreat would go next. More information will be forthcoming on that also. And also, we will need to look forward to scheduling another retreat this winter. Lastly, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities will conduct a training workshop on ethics, accountability, and conflicts of interest. And this will take place on Thursday, December 3rd in Old Saybrook. And if anyone is interested in attending this, let the clerk of the board know that. Also, I believe that we are members of that organization, and there will be no cost involved in attending that. And that concludes my comments this evening, and the next item on the agenda would be the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing none, I will read the consent calendar. 8.1, Committee of the Whole, request approval of a new after-school program for Chase and Wilson Family Resource Centers entitled Arts and After-School Program. 8.2, Committee on Finance, request approval of the submission of the Title III English Language Acquisition, Enhancement, and Academic Achievement Act grant. 8.3, Committee on Finance, request approval of the submission of the Immigrant Children and Youth Education grant. Item 8.4, Committee on Finance, request approval of the submission of the consolidated 2-year federal grant application. And 8.5, Committee on School Personnel, request approval of the revised job specs for the position of Office Manager for Special Education and Pupil Services Department. And 8.6, Committee on Building, request approval of an agreement with O&G Industries Incorporated for program management services for school building construction projects. 8.7, Committee on Curriculum, request permission be granted to Carrie Coyle of Crosby to take 50 students to Salem, Mass. On November 6th to visit various historical sites. And this is we previously voted on this, and that it's a date change, and that's why it reappeared. 8.8, Committee on School Facilities and Grounds, use of school facilities by school organizations and/or city departments. And 8.9, Committee on School Facilities and Grounds, use of school facilities by outside organizations and/or waiver request. That concludes the consent calendar. Motion?
Motion to approve consent calendar is read.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to item number 10 on the agenda, Committee on Curriculum, Commissioner Brown, 10.1.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the Committee on Curriculum, the Superintendent of Schools recommends approval of an agreement with Abbott Terrace Health Center, Inc. to establish a clinical program for students enrolled at the Wtby Career Academy High School as nurses' aides. Supersedes previous agreement approved by the board on September 17, 2015, respectively submitted.
Second.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion, which is it's an amendment or something? Any discussion on that? Very well then. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 on the agenda, Committee on School Personnel, Commissioner Harvey. Item 11.1.
Thank you. Item 11.1, ladies and gentlemen, with the approval of the Committee on School Personnel, the Superintendent of School recommends approval of the new SAW grade/description for the position of Principal of Alternative Education Programs from grade A4, High School Vice Principal/Middle School Vice Principal, to grade A6, High School Principal. Respectfully submitted and so moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on that item? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
It'll be 9 yes, 1 no. Moving on now to item number 12 on the agenda, Superintendent's notification to the board. I will entertain a motion.
File superintendent's notification report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. That would be items 12.1 all the way to 12.11. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item number 13, which would be unfinished business of the preceding meeting only. Any input on that? Seeing none, I will move on now to item number 14 on the agenda, other unfinished new and miscellaneous business. Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Stengel, through you. I just want to mention that this Saturday, the coordinator, Kathy O'Leary, is hosting a Connecticut Loves to Read at Target on Chase Avenue from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I would encourage anyone. I'm going to be reading a book to the kids, and I hope that I'm sure some fellow commissioners may be reading as well, but it's a great opportunity to go out and support and show the importance of reading for kids in our district. So I would encourage you to stop by. Again, it's this Saturday, November 7th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Target on Chase Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Vice President Harvey.
Thank you. Just want to take a minute just to compliment, actually, the parents in our district. On Tuesday, I was working the polls, and it was really very encouraging to see the parents bring the kids out to witness that process. And I'd like to see a little bit more of that. I did question the kids on whether or not they're doing their homework and things like that, but nonetheless, I think it was a good idea to bring them out, and I encourage the parents to continue to do that so that they could get a feel of government and, the process, etc. So I compliment all of our parents for doing that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Brown?
Yes, just a reminder that on November 12th, the Waterbury Neighborhood Council is hosting their annual awards night, and Mrs. Hayes is being honored, so I'm hoping we can, if anybody would like to go, come and see me. Thanks.
Commissioner Brown, it's my understanding that you have reserved the table
Yes.
for the board. Okay.
I was told you purchased a table for the board.
Yeah, it's better.
I wasn't sure what you did, but... And you also purchased an ad for the book?
Yes,
Yes.
on behalf of the board.
On behalf of the board, okay. So we'll be hearing more about that. All right, anyone else? Seeing none? I will refer to Commissioner Sweeney for item number 15, which we, for a motion.
Motion to remove item 15 from the agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're up to item number 16.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nice.
Motion carries.
Okay. I like it. Everybody
Okay.
must be tired.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.